Welcome back to City of Island Fishing Field Team, COAF Field Team on YouTube. Yours truly, Glenn, your host. In this case, what we're talking about is an annual trip that we like taking, and we're calling this one Galveston 2023, What We Learned Fishing Galveston. We've been doing this, I believe, almost 10 years, if not 10 years. We head to the coast and typically fish the piers, targeting whatever is biting, some of these little sharks and whatnot. However, last year we ended up doing really well with some personal best bull reds, as well as nice sized black tip shark, as well as some of the big uglies and whatnot. So that was pretty fun. And so we were hoping to do that again this year. We used similar tactics. We got some fish bites, which we use to catch the bait so that we can get the targeted fish. We also hit the 61st Street Fishing Pier, Seawolf Park, and then close things out at Galveston Fishing Pier. So, you know, here's all the stuff. 61st Street, this is the Seawolf Park, and then the rest of it over there, fishing Galveston Fishing Pier. Key things there that we took away was our homemade weed eater rigs, where I use trimmer line as well as the malin wire, and then I use a haywire twist and use these hooks and whatnot, circle hooks and some snap swivels. Those worked out well. Did go with 2 surf rods, 10 foot in size, 2 boat rods, 6 foot, and then we had 2 bait rods, 7 foot spinning rods. Boat rods are back over there in this corner where I keep them. A Penn Squall surf casting or conventional style reels. In fact, here, let me go grab one real quick. All right, there it is. That's the Penn Squall. It's a boat rod, little 6 foot one that we picked up from Bass Pro Shops several years. Last year it was for last year's trip, 2022. That worked out well. And then we did what we had learned last year is fish the tide. So instead of try fishing the whole day, we fished the tides. So that was our plan, and things worked out well. It was a little tough for us from a things that kind of threw us. The brown water, you saw a lot of this dead sargassum, was kind of this spaghetti-like. Well, it's not greenery, but anyways, it's dead, and it's spaghetti-like and kind of pale looking, and it just clobbers everything. That was kind of what it was the first couple of days. I ended up seeing some mostly brown water. It was pretty brutal. So that was one of the things that we kind of ran into that we had to work around. Additionally, there were 4 tides, so instead of having a high and low, you would have a high and a not so high, and then a low and then not so low tide. And so that kind of threw us, so we had to work around the schedules. In some cases, we were staying up late, sleeping in, and then hitting like later morning, like early morning. And I think there was a couple of cases where we just carried over, where we went on the Galveston Fishing Pier, paid for one day and transitioned to, I think it was like 5 o'clock. You got to go pay again for the next day. So we went ahead and fished that period and just ended up fishing later on that evening. So yeah, it was pretty fun. Just it was a little had to work at it. It was very hot, especially over there at Seawolf Park. That one, the concrete and very little wind. I think that was the record day of the year for some heat over here on the coast. So that was pretty brutal for us. And then limited bait. We normally catch some pretty good bait and whatnot, but there was a couple of days where we weren't doing so well, and we were relying heavily on the fish bites and tried squid and whatnot. But luckily, we were able to pick up some bait when we went to Seawolf Park and picked up some tips from some savvy fishermen that were there on the coast and showed us a few things about how to catch some of those, be it sand trout as well as some of the croaker and whiting that we used for bait. And then we did luck into a pompano, which I'll speak to later. Okay, we went with squid, we went with shrimp, we went with fish bites. We had a lot of hard heads, a lot of gaff tops, had a lot of ouches. A couple of times I was using this one fish grip to minimize the getting poked, but sure enough, you ended up getting a little poke here and there. There was a slight chance of some thunderstorms as well. In fact, we did see some lightning activity just off the coast. We were fishing one night over there at the Galveston Fishing Pier, but luckily we didn't go up wet. So some of the things that we learned when we're working those tides, that was the main thing, was work those tides. It was the high, and then there was another little high, not so high tide. Well, we would fish in that time period, and then later on when it was low and start rising. So we're mainly targeting when there was moving water or current, and that helped us, and we were able to not have to just gut it out all day, getting no bites. We would just target those times, but we did have to work through some of those transitions where early morning, get there around just after midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and then just fish all the way through till about 8, 9 in the morning. Take a little nap, get some breakfast and whatnot, and then come back later on that evening and round out the rest of the day. And so, yeah, we worked hard at it. And well, in the end, we ended up doing really well. We did get green water. So we were getting ready to head to Seawolf Park, see if we can hook up with some of these sharks that we were getting and bull reds. We were having some problems there because, well, they were wanting to hit on the surface, very rocky bottom and whatnot. We were getting clobbered there, but the fish were, the sharks and the bull reds were hitting on the surface. So we were trying float rigs, and they were taking our baits, but just not setting the hook and not getting them. And in fact, I almost lost one of the rods when one was getting ready to go over. So I was able to stop it. But bottom line, we were getting ready to go to Seawolf Park for another round, trying to do the surface rig and see if we can get some sharks and bull reds that way. And as we were headed to go pick up some more ice and dry ice for the ice chest over there by the Kroger, just off to the left of the 61st Street Fishing Pier as you're facing the water, we saw green water. And, you know, rule of thumb from growing up way back on the coast is anytime you got green water coming in close to the piers, or at least even close to the beach and whatnot, you go for it. So really the question was not, are we going to Seawolf Park or other places inshore? Instead it was which pier? And we opted to go to the Galveston Fishing Pier for that green water period. And guess what? We did well. We did see some other folks doing well as well. When I say we did well, my fishing buddy ended up getting a nice size bull red, 38-inch. We ended up releasing him. We also caught some more sharks, couple of Atlantic sharp nose, and we were able to take those. And I've got a mount that I'm working on, a jaw mount as well as tail mount for those two that we got. And well, we learned also on how to clean them. Make sure you bleed them well. And guess what? They turned out really good shark steaks with those. Also got this big, it took basically about maybe 8, 9 of us, 10 of us to get this big stingray out of the water after I hooked it and fought it for about 20 minutes. I handed it over to my fishing partner. He fought it, and then we handed it over to another individual who was fishing on the pier, and he was able to get it in close for us. And then at that point we were able to bring in or get it into the net. That pier net again came in handy, but it took a good amount of us. So hey, that was a biggie. Let's see. So lessons learned this round: fish those tides. That green water, you fish green water, go for it. Let's see. Pompano. When we used pompano for bait, it was crazy. Ended up catching the bull red, the couple of sharks, some bonnet heads, as well as that big stingray. Let's see, other things. The sabiki rig that some of these savvy fishermen over there at Seawolf Park showed me, using that sabiki rig and just hooking up with a bunch of these bait fish, that helped. We've got to work on our float technique if we want to go back to Seawolf Park and try getting some of those bull reds and sharks that were hitting on the surface. So lesson learned there is learn the float technique and work that upper part of the water column. Clickers, we were using our bait clickers. So I told you I almost lost one of them. Well, because I got the bait clicker, it's able to pull the line and it won't take your pole over. And so that came in handy. The pier net, definitely have to have that pier net. But what I would say from a lessons learned standpoint, because it took a good amount of us, I would say get a ratchet. In fact, I did get a ratchet, one of these rope ratchets. So what happens is you get the big fish, the stingray in the net, and you can't lift it. It's either got too much water because it's, you know, a big stingray with water on top of it and you're trying to lift it up, or it's just a big stingray. We were estimating this one went about 150 plus pounds, possibly more. It was over 4 feet in width, and it took, initially there were 3 of us pulling or trying to lift it. 2 more individuals came in, so 5 of us, and we were trying to wrap it around the pier, one of the posts, and pull up and just kind of do a tug of war with it, but we just couldn't get it. Luckily, there were some other folks on the rest of the on the other end of the pier that came in and helped us, and we were able to basically tug of war it back up. But I guarantee you, if we had a ratchet, that would have made a big difference, because then maybe only 3 of us, maybe 5 of us needed to do it. Malin wire. I did end up getting the Dubrod haywire twist tool. In fact, let me grab it real quick. All right, here it is. Okay, so this tool is, I got it after the trip. What I did before was I took a washer and I cut a slot in it, just a little 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch washer, cut a slot in it, and I was using that to hand tie the haywire twist for that Malin wire. Use it for both the hook end as well as the swivel end and the loop end. And I didn't have any break-offs. Just I ended up losing the washer and ended up just doing it by hand. And well, my haywire twisting is not as good as what I found this one can do. And so I've got some, well, I'll do some follow-up videos, but lesson learned, I'm going to use this tool. Get me some good haywire twist, as well as the other thing is we had some short striking, and I saw some videos where you put 2 hooks. You got a trailing hook to put in your live bait, be it the croaker or the whiting and whatnot. What we were seeing is we would hear the fish take and run, and when we brought the bait in, we would lose the fish. It'd be gone, and on our bait, you could see the back half of it was cut, and you can sometimes see if it was a shark, clean cut with the, you know, with the shape of the jaw and whatnot. So I think I'm gonna try that next year or next round. In fact, this month we're going to Rockport, so I may try it then too. So stay tuned for that one. Very happy with this gear. In fact, while we were down there, our fishing buddy ended up getting another one of these reels, but in a bigger size, and another rod, boat rod, and I think we're going to pretty much go with those. We did find out that we were using 50-pound test. Initially, I did get snagged on something and took out the 50-pound test and re-spooled the Penn Squall with some 30-pound test, and that was the one that I was able to land that big stingray. So we were bringing it on 30-pound test. So I think just because I had that extra length of line, because he nearly spooled me a couple of times where he took off, went running. I fought him, brought him in, then he took off again. And I think in some of the videos, you may be able to see how close it came to getting to the spool. And I think if I had gone with that 50-pound test, I think he would have spooled me. Because when I put the 30-pound test, I was able to gain probably another 100 yards on the, or another 50 yards on the little Penn Squall. Because these don't hold that much, but they do work really well with this setup. So I'm pretty happy with that. That was our update. Lessons learned 2023. All right, all for now. Until next time, we'll catch y'all later, and good luck and good fishing.